The current dragged her deeper, her designer suit becoming a deadly weight as the river claimed her. Just as darkness closed in, strong hands gripped her shoulders. Their eyes met, his filled with determination, hers with fading hope. Neither knew this moment would change everything. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more heartwarming tales that remind us how life can change in an instant. Jake Matthews checked his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. The elementary school bell would ring any moment, and he couldn't be late picking up Emma again. His daughter's teacher had already given him that look last week, the one that silently judged single parents who struggled with punctuality. "Just finishing up, Mr. Matthews," his client said, signing the final page of the landscaping contract. "Your designs for our backyard are exactly what we wanted." Jake smiled professionally while mentally calculating the fastest route to Emma's school. This contract meant he could finally fix the leaky roof in their small rental home, but Emma's smile when he arrived on time was worth more than any paycheck. He made it with 2 minutes to spare, leaning against his weathered pickup truck as children poured from the building. Emma's copper pigtails bounced as she ran to him, her gap-toothed smile making the morning's stress evaporate. "Daddy, can we go to the river today? You promised we could look for those special rocks." Jake ruffled her hair. "Sure thing, Squirt. But just for an hour. I've got paperwork to finish before dinner." The river path was their special place. Since losing her mother 3 years ago to cancer, Emma had found comfort in collecting smooth stones from the riverbank. Jake found peace in her happiness, in these small moments where the weight of single parenthood felt lighter. They walked hand in hand along the path, Emma chattering about her day while Jake half listened, his mind drifting to unpaid bills and upcoming deadlines. The late September air carried the first hint of autumn, and the river ran faster than usual after recent rains. "Stay back from the edge, Em," Jake cautioned, noticing how the current churned against the banks. That's when they heard it, a splash and a cry for help. Jake's eyes scanned the water, spotting a woman being swept downstream, her arms flailing against the current. Without hesitation, he knelt before Emma. "Stay right here on this bench. Don't move. I need to help someone." Emma's eyes widened with fear, but she nodded solemnly. Jake sprinted along the riverbank, keeping pace with the struggling woman. He could see her losing strength, her head dipping below the surface. The business suit she wore was dragging her down. Finding a slightly narrower section, Jake kicked off his boots and dove in. The cold shocked his system, but adrenaline pushed him forward. The current was stronger than he anticipated, pulling at his clothes and threatening to sweep him away too. He reached her just as she went under again. Grabbing her arm, he pulled her to the surface. She gasped for air, panic in her eyes as she instinctively clutched at him. "I've got you," he assured her, his voice steady despite the effort of keeping them both afloat. "Don't fight me. Just breathe." Swimming with one arm while holding her with the other, Jake angled them toward the shore, fighting the current with every stroke. His muscles burned, but the woman had stopped struggling, allowing him to guide them. When his feet finally touched the riverbed, Jake half-carried, half-dragged the woman onto the muddy bank. They collapsed side by side, both coughing and gasping. "Thank you," she managed between breaths. "I thought..." She couldn't finish the sentence. Jake nodded, too exhausted for words. As his breathing steadied, he looked at the woman properly for the first time. Despite being soaked and bedraggled, there was something striking about her. Her dark hair was plastered to her face, and her expensive suit was ruined, but her eyes held a sharp intelligence that caught him off guard. "Daddy!" Emma's voice broke the moment as she ran toward them, ignoring his earlier instructions to stay put. "Emma, I told you to stay on the bench," Jake scolded gently, relief and residual fear making his voice shake. "I was scared," Emma admitted, throwing her arms around his wet neck. "Is the lady okay?" The woman had managed to sit up, wringing water from her hair. "I'm okay, thanks to your dad," she said, offering Emma a smile that transformed her face. "He's very brave." Emma beamed with pride. "My daddy helps everyone. He even rescued a baby bird last week and built it a special nest." Jake felt his cheeks warm. "Let's get you home," he said to the woman. "My truck's not far. We can drop you wherever you need to go." "Alexandra Winters," she said, extending a dripping hand. "And I'd appreciate that ride more than you know." Jake took her hand, surprised by her firm grip despite her ordeal. "Jake Matthews. And this is my daughter Emma." As they walked back to his truck, Alexandra explained she had been taking a shortcut through the Riverside Park after a stressful meeting when she'd slipped on the muddy bank. "I was distracted, looking at some emails on my phone," she admitted. "Stupid mistake. Phones and rivers don't mix," Emma said sagely, making Alexandra laugh. Jake's old pickup truck seemed to shrink as Alexandra climbed in, her presence somehow making the vehicle's worn interior more noticeable. He apologized for the mess, tools scattered in the back, Emma's school projects littering the dashboard. "It's perfect," Alexandra said, surprising him. "It's real." She directed them to an address in the city's most exclusive neighborhood. Jake tried not to react when they pulled up to a modern glass and steel mansion perched on a hillside. "This is where you live?" Emma asked, her eyes wide. Alexandra nodded, suddenly seeming uncomfortable. "Would you both like to come in? I can at least offer you dry clothes and some hot chocolate as thanks." Jake was about to decline when Emma bounced excitedly in her seat. "Hot chocolate? Can we, Daddy? Please?" He couldn't deny her simple request, especially after the scare they'd had. "Just for a little while," he agreed. The house was as impressive inside as out, minimalist furniture, abstract art, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Jake felt out of place in his soaked clothes, conscious of the water dripping onto what was probably an extremely expensive floor. Alexandra disappeared briefly, returning with fluffy towels and clothes for Jake. "The bathroom is down the hall. I'll make that hot chocolate while you change." When Jake emerged in borrowed sweatpants and a t-shirt that probably cost more than his weekly grocery budget, he found Emma sitting at a kitchen island, happily sipping hot chocolate topped with whipped cream and marshmallows. "Your daughter has been telling me about her rock collection," Alexandra said, handing Jake a steaming mug. She had changed into casual clothes, jeans and a simple sweater that somehow made her look more approachable than the power suit. "She's obsessed," Jake said fondly. "Our windowsills are covered with them. Each one has a story," Emma explained seriously. "Like people." Alexandra smiled at that. "That's a beautiful way to think about it." As they talked, Jake learned that Alexandra was the CEO of Winters Innovation, a tech company he vaguely recognized from news headlines. She had built the business from scratch over 10 years, turning it into one of the city's success stories. "It's all I do, really," she admitted, something vulnerable crossing her face. "Work, sleep, repeat. Don't you have fun sometimes?" Emma asked with a child's directness. Alexandra seemed startled by the question. I suppose I've forgotten what that looks like." The conversation flowed surprisingly easily after that. Jake found himself sharing stories about his landscaping business, his dreams of expanding beyond residential projects to public spaces. Alexandra listened with genuine interest, occasionally offering business insights that made him see his small company in a new light. When Emma began to yawn, Jake realized how late it had grown. "We should get going. Thank you for the hospitality, but we've imposed enough." "You haven't imposed at all," Alexandra said quickly. "In fact," she hesitated, then continued with uncharacteristic uncertainty. "My company is redesigning our campus grounds. We've been interviewing landscape architects, but I haven't found the right vision yet. Would you be interested in submitting a proposal?" Jake stared at her, wondering if this was pity or charity. "I mainly do residential projects. Your campus would be perfect for your aesthetic," she interrupted. "I've seen how you talk about creating spaces that tell stories. That's exactly what we need." Before Jake could respond, she handed him a business card. "Think about it. No pressure." On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, clutching a new stone Alexandra had given her from a decorative bowl, a piece of rose quartz that caught the light. Jake couldn't stop thinking about Alexandra's offer. It would be the biggest project of his career, potentially transforming his one-man operation into something substantial. But he also couldn't shake the feeling that their worlds were too different, that tomorrow she would regret offering such an opportunity to a struggling landscaper she just met. To his surprise, Alexandra called the next day. "Have you thought about my offer?" "I have, but—" "No buts. I've looked up your website. Your work is exactly what we need. This isn't charity, Jake. It's business." Against his better judgment, Jake agreed to visit the campus and develop a proposal. Over the next few weeks, he poured himself into creating designs that would transform the corporate space into something organic and inviting. Emma helped, suggesting special spots where people could sit and think. When he presented his vision to Alexandra and her executive team, the room fell silent after his presentation. Jake's heart sank until Alexandra stood up. "This is exactly what I wanted," she said, her eyes bright with excitement. "A space that tells our company's story while creating room for new chapters." The project was approved unanimously. Jake hired 2 assistants to help with his regular clients while he focused on the Winter's Innovation Campus. He and Alexandra began meeting regularly, their professional relationship gradually warming into friendship. Emma adored Alexandra, who always made time for her despite her packed schedule. She would listen to Emma's rock stories with the same attention she gave to board meetings, sometimes joining their weekend expeditions to the river, though she stayed well away from the water's edge. As months passed, Jake noticed changes in Alexandra. She laughed more easily. She sometimes left work before 7. She started wearing colorful scarves with her suits, small rebellions against her former monochrome existence. Jake found himself looking forward to their meetings more than he wanted to admit. Alexandra was brilliant, driven, but also surprisingly funny and thoughtful. She never made him feel less than her equal, despite the obvious differences in their circumstances. The campus project was nearing completion when Alexandra invited Jake and Emma to dinner at her home. Emma was spending the night at a friend's birthday sleepover, so Jake arrived alone, suddenly nervous in a way he hadn't been since high school. Alexandra had cooked herself, a simple pasta dish that she admitted was one of only 3 meals she knew how to prepare. The house felt different this time, warmer, with music playing softly and candles lit throughout the living room. After dinner, they sat on her terrace overlooking the city lights. A comfortable silence settled between them until Alexandra spoke. "Do you know what I was thinking about when I fell into the river that day?" Jake shook his head. "I was thinking that I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt truly happy. I was successful by every external measure, but I felt empty." She turned to face him. "And then you pulled me out, and I saw how you were with Emma, and I realized what was missing from my life." "A child?" Jake asked, confused. Alexandra smiled. "Connection. Purpose beyond profit. The ability to see beauty in simple things." She reached for his hand. "You've changed my life, Jake Matthews. Not just by saving it, but by showing me how to live it." Jake felt his heart race as her fingers intertwined with his. "You've changed ours too. Emma talks about you constantly." "And I?" "And you?" she prompted when he didn't continue. "I find myself thinking about you when you're not around," he admitted. "Which is probably inappropriate given our professional relationship." Alexandra laughed softly. "I think we passed strictly professional when you pulled me from a river." As the evening grew late, either seemed willing to end it. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Jake shared the grief of losing his wife, the challenges of raising Emma alone. Alexandra spoke of building her company at the cost of personal relationships, of proving herself in a male-dominated industry. When Jake finally stood to leave, Alexandra walked him to the door. Before he could say goodnight, she asked the question that would change everything. "Will you stay with me?" she asked, vulnerability clear in her voice. "Not just tonight, but in my life. You and Emma." Jake looked at her, this powerful woman who had somehow become essential to him. "Are you sure? Our worlds are so different." "They were," she agreed. But I think we've created a new one together. If you're willing to see where it leads. Instead of answering with words, Jake pulled her close, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt like coming home. 6 months later, the Winters Innovation Campus opened to acclaim, its flowing gardens and thoughtful spaces transforming the corporate environment. Jake's business had expanded, with a team of designers working under his direction. He and Emma had moved into Alexandra's home, filling its modern spaces with warmth and laughter. And on weekends the three of them still visited the river, collecting stones that told their story, of rescue, of second chances, of a family formed by fate and choice. Emma placed a smooth river stone on the mantel of their home, nestled between family photos and Alexandra's business awards. "This one," she declared, "is the beginning of our story." Alexandra wrapped an arm around Jake's waist as they watched Emma arrange her treasures. "Thank you for staying," she whispered. "Always," he promised, knowing that some currents were meant to sweep you away, carrying you exactly where you needed to be. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more content that celebrates life's unexpected turns and the courage to embrace them. Sometimes our greatest chapters begin when we least expect them, with a splash, a rescue, and a simple question. Will you stay with me?